currently 3000 elo and level 10 on Face It, and I'm going to show you guys 5 tips and tricks that I use to stay in level 10 and above 3000 elo. Currently in NA, 3000 elo is almost the top 100 of players, so I'm going to show you guys what I do to pretty much stay on top of my game to always be a top 100 player. But before I get into these little tips and tricks, if you guys want any cool skins like I have in my inventory right here, make sure you guys check out the sponsor of this video, Skins Monkey.
Skins Monkey is a CS2 skins trading site and marketplace that provides an instant way to get new skins. My favorite thing about Skins Monkey is that I can trade skins that I no longer want and trade it for a skin that is equal value. If you use code LouisCS2, you get a $5 bonus on your first trade. If you want to buy skins, you can get a 30% deposit bonus plus an extra 5% using my code. The link is down in the description.
So the first little tip and trick that I have for you guys that I do and that you guys should do if you want to rank up to level 10 is learning all the smokes, keeping up with the new metas if there's any new smokes that come out, and learning all those little tips and tricks and gimmicks. But learning just something simple like the instant windows smokes, you know, these are very popular, and sometimes like when I get a 2000 elo player on my team, even if he's like 2500, he might just be a casual player and not know any of these smokes. So it's very important that I know them because I can help my team out. Even learning like the little fast market window smoke that you can throw from here is very important too, or maybe something like the instant A smokes. I know a lot of people don't know like the new A smokes to throw, like this. Obviously the new stair smoke that doesn't droop down so they can't hide and sandwich. A lot of players don't know these things, and it's very important that you guys learn them. Even like if you're a CT sided player and you like to buy a molly on pistol round, which I think is sometimes weird. If you are on CT side, you can actually afford a incendiary grenade and an HE grenade with the new update, so that's also very important to note as well. Just staying up with the meta and learning all these little gimmicks and all the smokes can definitely help out your team. Especially like a gimmick, for example, is if you save a rifle and you know these guys like to run out ramp, just boosting someone behind triple, which is something that I don't see very often. You can get probably 2 free kills because people running out A are just going to clear this and then just swing out, and it's going to be an easy free kill. So just learning these little things can help you stay in level 10, or they can help you rank up. So the next thing is understanding the team's economy. Usually in my games, there's a lot of people that don't understand how the other team's economy works, and it's definitely something that you should learn, but understanding the economy will help you understand what guns you should buy. For example, if I am on T side and I know the CTs are saving, instead of buying an AK, I can literally just buy a Mac 10, and then I can set myself up for some free kills. I see a lot of people that when the other team is on eco, they'll buy an AK and they'll kind of just like run out, try to get fragged. If they somehow die, the CTs now have an AK, and this CT will magically just somehow win the round with a 4K after he picks it up, because maybe we're splitting up cat, picks us off one by one, and we lose the round. So it's very important to understand the economy, especially on CT side, because, you know, let's say, hey guys, I know they're saving, or maybe it's a half buy, gonna buy an MP9 and I'm gonna try to take ramp, because I think it's just really good to understand that if you know what the other team is doing, you can set yourself up pretty well. Like for example, again, if you're on CT side and you're like, hey, I think they're saving, okay, let's play heavy towards B. I'm gonna buy an MP9. Oh, they're rushing B. I get 3 kills with an MP9. Now next round the T's are gonna buy, and then I can drop someone an op. Maybe I feel like opping myself, and all of a sudden we have the advantage in the round. So it's very good to understand economy in Counter-Strike, and if you don't know it, it's actually a really good advantage to know it, because a lot of people kind of just play the game, especially if you're playing Premier or you're just pugging, and it'll give you a really good advantage, and then you can kind of just set your team up on how you should play the round, and then you can kind of predict on what they're doing. Like if you know they're on a full eco and you're on CT side, chances are they're gonna rush B, or they are just gonna palace pop, so you don't even have to fight for mid. So obvious on what the team's gonna do on what their buy is, so it's very important that you guys learn that. So the next thing that I do and what you guys should do is learn basic patterns. Now Counter-Strike is all about patterns. This whole map is just a pattern of what the T's or CTs are doing. Patterns are a lot easier to read from the CT perspective, because let's say for example, we know that the T's like to take mid with a window smoke, and maybe they throw a top mid smoke in there as well. So if we understand this pattern, we understand how the T's are playing as a CT. So when we see these smokes, we obviously know, oh my gosh, guys are throwing their mid nades. They're probably taking mid. And we would know that because they usually throw a window flash. Maybe they throw a valley flash with it, or maybe a box flash as well. And it's a very obvious read as a CT that if the T's are doing this every round, and chances are in your Premier games or your pugs, the T's are going to be playing the same way a lot, and they're not going to think about conditioning. Now, if we're talking about the team sense of this, obviously they might try to condition you in this aspect of it, but for this sake, we're talking about, you know, pugging or Premier games, so we'll just focus on that. But we'll obviously know that these guys are just going to take mid, so that kind of moves into my next little tip or trick as well, and it's learning how to counter things. So in order to counter things, you need to really understand the game, but you don't need to understand it at a very advanced level. Usually finding counters is from watching demos or really understanding how a team plays, and you're just Counter-Strike smart. But I'll just use this mid example again, where let's say the T's are always smoking window and top mid when they're coming out mid, and this kind of gives us a tell as a CT like, hey guys, if we see these smokes, let's just retake mid. So you can just set your team up, you know, tell the A player, hey man, I dropped you an extra flash so you can flash 3 times over con. And the con player or maybe the window player's like, hey guys, they're taking mid. Okay, let's fight mid. And then all of a sudden you're countering them in mid, just simply throwing these nades like this. If I'm also on CT side and we don't see any of these smokes, it's not really a counter, but it's more of a read because you understood the pattern. And since you know, hey guys, they're not taking mid, watch your extremities. And by extremities, you mean the bomb sites. So we could actually leave mid and maybe just leave one guy spotting if we wanted, and we can just, you know, kind of get ready for them coming out A, and then our B guys are getting ready for them to come out B. So maybe this guy's, you know, getting ready for his molly, and then, you know, he's dropping his bench smoke because he was so ready for this execution. And that's pretty much all Counter-Strike is, understanding the patterns. And if you can really understand the patterns, you can really play a high level of Counter-Strike. But what really puts you on top is how to counter these patterns, because in these pugs, you're not going to see, you know, this conditioning where teams are going to smoke top mid and window, and then they're gonna do a little A execute or like an A pop. That's really not what's gonna happen. What's gonna happen is they're just gonna use the smokes that they are throwing. So if you don't see mid smokes, it makes it so obvious that they're gonna go, you know, A or B and pop like really quickly. If they don't do that, maybe they're just gonna take mid late. There's so many things off of a flowchart that can happen, but usually in face-up pugs, it's so obvious on what they are doing. Like if they're gonna throw these mid smokes and not flash, that puts a trigger in my head and a light goes off and says, hey guys, they're probably not out mid because they didn't flash. But obviously that's a little bit more advanced than what I'm trying to show here, but it's just these patterns and thinking about how the T's are using their utility and what they're doing with their utility. So if you're in your next game of Face It or maybe Premier, or even if it's matchmaking, just try to ask yourself, what are the T's doing with their utility? And I guarantee you'll level up your game. And if you're not Face It level 10, I'm sure you'll get there very quickly. So the last thing that I do, and I recommend that you guys do, is just fine tune your mechanics. Always have a good training routine. Like for example, I just found those maps called 5E, and I'm constantly on those training maps where I'm just shooting the targets and then, you know, shooting aimbots and practicing my peeking. Because if I don't fine tune my mechanics and try to keep improving them or keep them where they are, then they're just going to keep decreasing. Then I'm going to decrease in skill. So it's always important, if you are Face It level 10 right now, or maybe you're trying to get to Face It level 10, you just keep fine tuning your mechanics, because you can always improve. The skill ceiling in Counter-Strike keeps improving every year as we see these new talents like Donk and Monacy. So it's always good to constantly improve and try to fine tune your mechanics. Try to push yourself past that limit. Try to get a good training routine in, or maybe you just want to just stay at the level you are. If you are Face It level 10, it's always good to just hop in aimbots for, you know, 10 to 15 minutes, or maybe just hit a quick deathmatch sesh of 15 to 30 minutes just to make sure you're staying sharp and staying on point, which is what I really recommend to do. Because currently right now I'm doing about 2 hours of aim training a day to try to improve, which also keeps my skills at the current level they are. But I find 2 hours to 3 hours helps me increase at a good rate that I actually notice good improvement. You know, every week or so I notice that I do get better doing what I am doing right now. So it's always good to find what works for you. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel and comment down below if you think I missed anything. I respond to all your guys' comments, and I appreciate all the criticism you give me. And make sure you guys subscribe to the channel for some CS2 content, and make sure you guys smash that like button as well. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.